Harris here. It is Sunday, the 15th of November, 2020. I'm having a look at the global indices and starting off here with the Dow. So the last week was just been incredibly interesting to me. We've broken out kind of outside of the existing range. We had Monday was an incredibly kind of bullish day, breaking into all-time highs. And the weekly looks not that overextended. It's beautiful that we've closed above the previous resistance at 29,000. That monthly is a nice big candle, but it's not ridiculous. I don't consider that dangerous. And price has pulled back and has produced a nice little bullish candle here on 29,000 as support. So I'd like to see this week if we can manage to continue on upwards towards 30,000. One of the things that often happens, and I'll sort of repeat this on some of the other charts, but after a really big sustained kind of move like that, it's difficult for the market to continue on without taking a bit of a break, which will come either in the form of a consolidation or a bit of a retracement. But overall, I'm very happy to see this. The markets look significantly bullish, and this does appear to be a very positive reaction to Biden winning the US presidency, as well as obviously the potential here for perhaps at some point in 2021 a return to normal life as a result of some kind of inoculation or some effective treatment for coronavirus. So looking at the S&P, also a very effectively series of really nice bullish candles off the old highs, a bit of a rejection of that. So part of this is because of that really big move all the way through, the amount of energy that it takes the market to get through. It's actually at its weakest by the time it gets up there. So rejection of those highs is acceptable, it's understandable, but the response is immediately it's managed to recover and actually finish Friday quite nice and bullishly again. That monthly candle is really nice and bullish at the moment. It's not engulfing on the lows, but looks pretty nice and strong so far. Again, we're halfway through the month. It's a bit too soon to tell, but so far the weekly also not being that overextended. So again, this is what I'm going to be looking for this week. Do we manage to hold support and continue on upwards, or do we need to take a bit of a breather and have price come back down below that? Most of the momentum indicators are happy. They're not showing any signs of weakness on it. And I don't really want to be continually looking for the markets to fail. This is where it gets interesting to me. Of course, the Nasdaq being the most overextended on the monthly, the fact that it was unable to break through its highs makes complete sense. It makes complete sense. It was just really not able to go any higher, and it's struggling to find buyers above this level. I still believe that it's kind of really overdue for a pullback down towards 10,000, but it could, of course, continue to do this for several months before it does ultimately kind of take a breather, and I'm okay with it as long as the market is relatively stable. And usually we often get the Santa Claus rally between sort of now and January, where the market does get a bit of a boost from Christmas sales. We'll see how that goes. We've got higher lows and higher highs. We've got a confirmed uptrend on the weekly. And the candle here just being a little bit of an indecision candle, effectively. Now, we've had a nice little swing low on the daily, so it's certainly an attempt to push higher. That makes sense. The markets may fail to do it, but they certainly are displaying an interest in attempting to push higher. So that's pretty good. On the whole, I'd like to see them continue up, break past the previous highs. Also looking at the previous charts, if they do decide to take a bit of a breather, come down and do a bit of a retracement before potentially taking another run up to the upside, that's also perfectly acceptable. So what I'm getting at is the fact that the markets kind of are taking a bit of a breather after a really big move to the upside actually makes a lot of sense. It gets even more interesting as we sort of stray away from the big ones, kind of the big three, and start to have a look. You can see here the monthly candle, Russell 2000, very big, also breaking into all-time highs. The weekly chart looks really good. It's a big move away from the moving averages, more so than in the past, but it was kind of effectively consolidating, and that's a nice, decent breakout. The daily also having finished with a bullish candle on a sideways consolidation, well away from the moving averages, which is kind of acceptable, but you can see here where that market ultimately does a bit of a pullback. So a pullback during this week is still acceptable in my mind if it does ultimately happen. The FTSE, so the FTSE had a beautiful, really positive swing low. It's got a higher low now, so that's interesting to me. If we can hold and stay above 6,300, that could change potentially. If we do break this previous high and we effectively break that monthly kind of down move, which we were looking incredibly weak, the implication is bullish for 2021. Just because if we've take one of the weaker indices and that has effectively ended its own sort of weak-looking downward momentum. That's a positive sign in my mind. And so liking the look of most of this. Of course, again, a very, very big move. It makes a lot of sense for price to potentially come back down, just back down into previous levels of support to test those this week. It's less likely that it can sustain a move of this scale onwards. It's not impossible. The markets are still quite bullish, but I think that it's likely at some point this week to see a bit of a pullback. Looking at the DAX as well, very nice to see that recover. It went into a bit of a downtrend. It actually had a downtrend on the weekly side. It was really struggling with its 13,000 level as resistance, and it's not free and clear of that, but it is very nice, again, very positive to see such a solid reaction. It wasn't muted in any way. It is effectively, if you think of it, closed the gap, got all the way from where it was down here, and gone all the way back up close towards all-time highs, which is pretty cool. Nice and encouraging at the very least. Looking at the French CAC, that's also broken past these previous highs and also now a pullback into these lows to test for support would be great. Again, very nice. That's a beautiful, really nice, strong bullish candle. Can it sustain it and hold it till the end of the month? Would be nice to, if you have that finish. I'd really like to see that finish as a bullish candle rather than have it finish ultimately as a strong rejection candle, because that wouldn't bode well for the end of Q4 and for the start of Q1 2021. But yeah, this week looking for to see if we can hold sideways or potentially do a bit of a pullback and then resume that move to the upside. Let's have a look at the Nikkei. The Nikkei had been performing incredibly well and has done a really solid move. It's broken out well above old highs, going even back to 2018, 2017. So also looking incredibly positive there. But a big move like this compared to previous moves, you can see here, there's almost always a pullback, and a pullback down to these previous highs across the board also makes a lot of sense. And finishing, of course, on the Australian one, on ASX, again, that had been consolidating for a while, really struggling to get past 6.2. And it's right through on the other side of it. It's got a confirmed uptrend on the monthly. So to me, that is just a very, very nice positive sign. And what that actually does this week is gets me kind of monitoring it with the idea that, of course, there'll be a retracement, but it does have me keeping in mind that there could now potentially be some nice little bullish opportunities to the upside. And of course, as I said, the worst case scenario would be finishing as a strong rejection, bearish rejection candle, which of course is on the list of possibilities, but I think it's so far is the sort of, that would be plan B or plan C, plan A being looking for price to find support before resuming moves to the upside. So a bit of a move down, a bit of a move to the upside, or conversely a bit of a move up and a bit of a move down. In either case, a situation where there's a bit of a breather, where the market takes a bit of a breather, does a retracement, and there might be some entry opportunities for swing traders on those retracements and looking for buying the dips opportunities. And that's it. So I do like what the potential is here. It does look overall quite optimistic. Have a good week, everyone.